We first came across Coros at the London Bike Show in 2017, where the California-based company showcased its very first product, a bike helmet that incorporated bone conduction audio. Last year, I had the chance to test out the latest iteration of this line, called Safe Sound. I was impressed with the EOSS pods that enable riders to listen to music or make hands-free phone calls while keeping their ears open to outside sounds for safety. However, Coros has arguably gained more attention from the world of endurance sports and adventure GPS watches. Since the launch of its first GPS watch in 2018, the fledgling brand has already built a strong reputation thanks to its no-nonsense design approach and focus on high build quality. Sitting at the top of the Coros GPS watch lineup is the Vertix. Built to brave the elements of the great outdoors, the Coros Vertix is certainly a multisport watch that can handle extreme conditions. But now, almost 2 years on from its initial launch, how does it stack up against today's competition? To find out, I've been putting the Vertix through its paces over the last year, testing out a variety of sports tracking modes and lifestyle features. At first glance, the Coros Vertix looks very similar to Garmin's flagship Fenix 6, with the high-grade fibre body sandwiched between a burly titanium bezel on cover. It's priced similarly too, at about £540 in the UK or $600 in the US. This might seem a bit punchy given that the Vertix doesn't support topographic maps or music features, but you do get sapphire glass as standard to sweeten the deal. This protects a 1.2-inch display that's made even more scratch resistant by a diamond-like coating, so there's no need to purchase an additional screen protector. I've scuffed and scraped my watch more than a few times against twigs and branches, and the glass is still in the same pristine condition as the day I took it out of the box. On that note, the Vertix comes in an impressive looking flight case. This makes for a dramatic unboxing experience, but it's a bit overkill. I'd prefer that Coros reduced the price of the Vertix and shipped it in a cheaper cardboard box instead. The case certainly isn't useless though, it's very high quality with a watertight rubber gasket. Coros has also included extra padding so that you can repurpose the case for camera equipment or other electronics. Once padded out, you get a 1.2 litre capacity that's just enough to squeeze in my Canon M50 and 15 to 45mm lens. Picking up the Coros Vertix for the first time, you'll notice how light it is. At a featherweight 54 grams without a watch band, it's 35% lighter than the Garmin Fenix 6. This is particularly impressive considering that the Vertix is built like a tank. The raised 47mm bezel provides yet more protection to the display, while the machine screws add to its rugged exterior and provide a waterproof seal down to 150 meters, more than any other GPS watch on the market. Shrugging off cold weather, the Vertix is also fully operational down to minus 20 degrees Celsius. In fact, during Coros' extreme testing below minus 30 degrees Celsius, the Vertix continued to function for a full 21 hours in GPS mode, so you can rely on it to record data in the toughest of conditions. Despite the Vertix being nearly 16mm thick, it sits securely on my wrist and is fairly comfortable to wear all day long, even during sleep. The standard 22mm silicone band feels supple against the skin and has a slight stretch to ensure a snug yet irritation-free fit. It also features quick release for easy cleaning and can be swapped out for an ultralight nylon band. This is slightly wider than the standard silicone band at 24mm, but the extra breathability makes it ideal for any activity out of water. As well as a GPS chipset, the Vertix has a range of inbuilt sensors to collect useful data. These include a barometric altimeter, accelerometer, gyroscope, compass, and thermometer. On the back of the watch, you'll find the optical sensor package, an intimidating array of 5 LEDs positioned around a central detector. The package combines both an optical heart rate monitor, which utilizes 3 of the 5 LEDs, and a pulse oximeter, which measures blood oxygen saturation, but more on that later. Below this is a 3-pin charging port that's recessed into the back of the watch so that it doesn't come into contact with your wrist. The port is only used for charging since all data transfer and updates are done wirelessly. A full charge takes less than 2 hours, but you won't need to do this very often because the battery life of the Coros Vertix is insane. Alongside the exceptional build quality of the device, this is undoubtedly the standout feature. Coros states that you'll get about 45 days of regular use and up to 60 hours in full GPS mode. However, in my testing, I found that I could push this even further. For example, after an all-day 20-mile hike, the Vertix still had 89% battery left, while my Garmin Forerunner 4.5 was on its last legs. I didn't need to charge the Vertix again until over a month later, during which time I had been recording my regular runs and sports activities several times per week. Compared to other GPS watches I've used, the Vertix's extra juice is a game changer. It makes life so much easier knowing that I can just pick up my watch and go for a run without needing to check the battery level every few days. For multi-day hikes and ultra-distance races, you can also utilize Ultramax mode to extend the GPS battery life even further, up to 150 hours. To achieve this, the sampling rate is reduced so that only 30 seconds of GPS data is recorded every 2-minute period. Real-time motion input is then processed by an algorithm to fill in the blanks. For endurance athletes demanding this level of battery performance, there really aren't that many options available. The Garmin Fenix 6X and Sunto 9 both come close with their versions of a max battery mode, but the Coros Vertix still has the longest GPS battery life on the market. It even includes a nifty battery saving feature that enables you to turn off the optical heart rate sensor when you don't need it, for example if you're wearing the watch over a wetsuit. Instead of the 5-button layout found on most GPS watches, the Coros Vertix utilizes a digital dial to navigate through menus and data screens. By default, if you wear the watch on your left wrist, this dial will be positioned on the right side of the watch face. However, you can set up the Vertix to work in the opposite orientation if you prefer. Personally, I find that it's a really intuitive control mechanism. I rarely press the wrong button, and the haptic feedback helps when wearing thick gloves. To prevent accidental input, you can also set up the Vertix to auto-lock after a few minutes. This will prevent any input from the digital dial being registered until you scroll or press and hold it for a few seconds. Next to the digital dial, you'll find dedicated backlight and back buttons. Pressing and holding the latter will grant you access to most of the watch's adjustable settings, alongside useful tools such as a metronome, stopwatch, timer, and alarm. From the home screen, scrolling the digital dial will take you through the available widgets. These include a daily summary showing your active energy and exercise time alongside a progress bar for your daily goal, training plan detailing any workout programs you have scheduled for the day, current heart rate, elevation, air pressure and temperature, sunrise and sunset times for your current geographic location, and phone notifications if you have those enabled. In the heart rate, elevation, air pressure and temperature widgets, you also get a graph displaying the last 6 hours of recorded data taken at 10-minute intervals. Pressing the digital dial enables you to scroll through a full 24 hours of data, either by scrolling the dial or using the touchscreen. Beyond simply displaying this information, the air pressure widget takes things a step further by comparing the last 3 hours of barometer readings with the preceding 3-hour period. An arrow is displayed above the current air pressure, which illustrates the direction, if any, that the air pressure is trending. If you're out hiking or camping in the wilderness, for example, this could help you predict imminent weather changes. You can even turn on storm alerts for extra guidance. Back on the home screen, and one click of the digital dial will bring you to the activity selection menu. Compared to other wrist-worn wearables from Coros, namely the Apex and Pace 2, there's a bigger emphasis on outdoor pursuits. There are dedicated tracking modes for mountaineering, hiking and trail running, as well as snow sports like skiing, snowboarding, cross-country skiing and ski touring. Updates released over the last year have also added support for various water sports, such as windsurfing, speed surfing, rowing, whitewater rafting and stand-up paddleboarding. Coros has clearly catered for a wide range of adventure sports and activities here. I really like the fact that trail running is included in addition to the regular run mode, as it enables me to customize the specific workout data screens to focus more on average pace, elevation and gradient. However, mountain bikers are currently stuck with road cycling mode, and hiking is the only walking function available. Of course, a lot of the tracking modes are multi-purpose anyway, so with a bit of ingenuity, you'll be able to collect interesting data on almost any sport. For example, I used the snowboarding mode to track some of my downhill surf skate sessions. This function automatically detects when you're traveling downhill and records your laps, total downhill time, average speed, fastest speed, total downhill descent, and max slope. I've also used the open water swim mode when snorkeling. Considering that my wrist was below the water's surface for most of this time, the Vertix did an incredible job at tracking my movements via GPS. Underwater, the display is still crystal clear to view, and the watch controls continue to work well. While the Vertix is not a diving watch, it would have been nice if it featured a depth sensor for free diving. I think Coros may have missed a trick here, especially since the Vertix is the most waterproof watch in its class. But I guess this would have just ramped up the cost of the device. Coros has, however, added some unique features for high altitude adventures well above sea level. At 2,500 meters in elevation, the Vertix will trigger its altitude performance function. In this mode, the pulse oximeter will monitor your blood oxygen saturation levels. This data is then combined with your current heart rate to determine how well your body is acclimatizing to the current altitude. The gauge will display your acclimatization evaluation on an index from 0 to 100 and alerts you if it falls below a certain value. Anything above 81 is considered good and safe to climb higher. On the other hand, a result below 60 means that your body requires more time to acclimatize, or that you may even need to descend if you develop certain symptoms related to altitude sickness. This is a really useful feature that I'm sure will provide helpful data in alpine environments. However, while I've traversed some pretty steep terrain during my testing, I haven't yet had the opportunity to take the Vertix high enough to test the altitude performance mode. You can still measure your SpO2 levels manually at any time by accessing the function within the toolbox menu. With the latest updates, it feels like Coros has improved the reliability of this measurement, as it now only takes about 30 seconds. My results normally seem realistic, but it's hard to assess the true accuracy. SpO2 data from the past 3 days is saved on the Vertix and displayed in a graph next to your elevation at the time the measurement was taken. Unfortunately, this data can't be downloaded from the watch, so it's less useful for longer periods at altitude. While the Vertix doesn't support topographic maps, it can be used for breadcrumb trail navigation. You can either save a previously recorded route or import one from a GPX file. Unfortunately, there isn't a quicker way to import routes from third-party apps like Strava, but the process is fairly straightforward and you can store up to 10 different routes on the watch at any given time. Once you start navigating, the Vertix will guide you towards the closest part of your selected route, unless you're already on it. Since there are no topographic features or waypoints to follow, it's useful to have some idea where you're going, as opposed to completely relying on the breadcrumb trail. However, you can use the digital dial to zoom into a resolution of 50 foot per square, and set the map to orientate towards the heading direction. Following trails and determining which path to take if there's a fork ahead is therefore pretty straightforward. Additionally, if you deviate off course, the Vertix will alert you and guide you back to the trail. You can also use the touchscreen to manipulate the map and look ahead on your route. An elevation profile gives further insight on upcoming terrain and comes in pretty handy when you need to adjust your pacing. There's even a back to the start function for times when you need to turn around and head back the way you came. Overall, Coros has done a great job with the navigation feature. It's not really comparable to the full topographic maps found on the Garmin Fenix 6 Pro, but what you get is highly polished and gets the job done. Beyond the outdoor-directed features, the Coros Vertix is a very capable multisport watch for running, cycling and swimming. As well as the standard tracking modes, there are a number of useful additions designed for specific workouts. For example, there's a track running mode which utilizes an algorithm to tighten up the GPS data around a 400-meter running track. Random zigzags across the field or sharp angled turns are replaced with the smooth straightaways and curves of the track, matching your run. You can also record indoor runs by setting the treadmill speed, indoor cycling workouts by pairing the watch with an SPD sensor, and indoor pool swims by setting the pool length. For multisport events, you can either use the preset triathlon mode or set your own custom combination of up to 3 disciplines. Either way, it makes tracking your transitions a lot easier. For sports that don't have a dedicated tracking mode, the gym cardio and GPS cardio functions come in handy. Both track standard fitness metrics like heart rate and active energy, but the latter also collects speed and distance data. I tend to use these modes mostly for racket sports and indoor rock climbing. Starting a workout couldn't be any easier. From the activity selection menu, simply press the digital dial on the desired activity. This will bring up the tracking menu where you can tailor your workout. What I really like here are the well-placed secondary modes available for each sport. Take running for instance, which includes an interval training option that can be customized with multiple steps based on time or distance. Once you're ready to go, the Vertix will start acquiring a GPS signal and heart rate reading. It doesn't take very long to get a lock on both, but GPS connectivity is particularly zippy, indicating that the onboard Sony chipset is working well with the internal antenna design. As you therefore might expect, GPS accuracy is very good. Like many runners, I tend to cycle through a few regular running routes throughout the year, which is a great way to test a GPS watch's consistency. Looking at the data from one of these routes, a 5.25 mile half-on half-off road loop, it's clear that the Vertix has been tracking my runs consistently, with very little deviation in distance and elevation data. Looking closely at the GPS tracks, the Vertix is mostly spot on, following roads and paths without trailing too much off course. Even under thick tree cover, the Vertix maintains a fairly good track, only cutting corners slightly on rare occasions. Comparing data collected on the same route by my Garmin 445, it's also encouraging to see that the tracking lines up pretty well. Interestingly, the Vertix does a much better job at recording elevation data, so that's a big thumbs up for the barometer as well. For even better accuracy, you can adjust the GPS settings to use additional satellite constellations. At this time, both GLONASS and Beidou are available in partnership with the standard GPS, but Galileo connectivity is planned in a future update. Heart rate tracking, however, hasn't always been up to par. For example, when I first started testing out the Vertix, I found that it occasionally recorded unusual jumps in heart rate during the first portion of a run. It's worth noting that optical heart rate accuracy will vary from individual to individual, based on factors such as watch position and how snug it fits. However, comparing this to previous data from my Garmin 445, I would have expected the Vertix to track a more gradual increase in intensity. Thankfully, over the last 12 months, Coros has managed to iron out most of these issues. Following recent firmware updates, the Vertix now seems to track my heart rate much more consistently. Again, taking a look at the data from my regular 5.25 mile running route, the optical sensor tracks a rise in intensity as I start the run and then again as I climb in elevation before leveling off. Further into the run, the spike in heart rate matches up perfectly with a steep hill climb on the route. Comparing this to data collected by my Garmin 445, worn on the opposite wrist during the same run, it looks like the heart rate data matches up pretty well. In this particular case, the Garmin did record a higher average and max heart rate, but based on previously recorded runs and manual pulse rate checks, I'm confident in the data that the Vertix is recording. If you need something more reliable though, you can easily pair up a heart rate chest strap via Ant+ or Bluetooth. During a workout, you can scroll through the various data pages using either the digital dial or touchscreen, if you have this enabled. In my opinion, this works pretty well, and the touchscreen is particularly useful when cycling or pushing hard on a run. The default data pages are well thought out, and there's plenty of screen space to display up to 6 data fields per page. Pressing the back button at any time will trigger a lap and display the current lap time and lap distance. At this point, that's not customizable, but you can adjust the data pages for each sport to your heart's content. This is done from within the Coros app, where you have 6 data pages and 45 data fields to play with. You'll find all the usual metrics that the Vertix tracks natively, like distance, pace, heart rate, and even running power. However, connecting the Vertix to an external power meter, like the Stride or Coros Pod, will unlock a few extras, such as ground time, left-right balance, stride height, and stride ratio. After you've completed a workout, you will be able to review some basic stats on the watch. You can access these later alongside an estimate of your recovery time from the AI Trainer submenu. But for a more detailed breakdown of your workout, you'll need to transfer the data to the Coros app. Pairing the Vertix to your device is straightforward via Bluetooth, and syncing proceeds automatically when you open the app. The interface is pretty much what you'd expect from a fitness app. It's lean and intuitive to use, but packed with data so that you can dig deeper into your tracked sessions. If you prefer to review your stats in a third-party service like Strava, you can also configure automatic data sharing. Alternatively, you can export your workout data via a few different file types. Graphs for active energy, exercise time, steps, heart rate, and sleep time are all displayed in 30-minute increments. You can also explore longer-term trends by tapping on any of these metrics. By default, the Vertix will obtain a heart rate reading once every 10 minutes. Unlike in workout mode, where the Vertix first establishes a lock on your heart rate and then monitors it in real time, I found the accuracy varied. On the other hand, step counting data matched that recorded on my Fitbit and Garmin Forerunner 4.5, and sleep monitoring seemed pretty consistent too. Scrolling further down the home screen, you'll find a graph detailing your training load over the last week. It's a nice visualization tool that helps to keep you on track with your training goals. Beneath that, you have a fitness index showing your measured resting heart rate, VO2 max, lactate threshold, and threshold pace. It seems to get my resting heart rate correct, but the other metrics don't match up, so take this data with a pinch of salt. Beyond the usual display and basic analysis of your workout data, the Coros app has a really cool feature that enables you to create structured workouts. The functionality is pretty simple for running, cycling, and swimming, with the option to set a warm-up, cool-down, number of sets, and intensity level. Strength training functionality, however, is much more in-depth. To get started, simply head over to the profile management page and select workout programs. There, you'll find any routines that you've already created or downloaded from the Coros website. The routines available from Coros have been put together by the brand's sponsored athletes, so they're a great way of supplementing your training in a specific discipline. You get a description of the workout detailing what muscle groups are targeted, along with detailed explanations on how to do each exercise. Creating your own strength workout is a breeze. Once you've chosen a title and written the description, you can select from over 200 preloaded exercises that are categorized by muscle group and required equipment. Each exercise comes with a detailed explanation and a useful animation. After selecting an exercise, you can then specify the number of reps, sets, and added weight. You can also add your own custom exercises which are saved for later use. Editing existing workouts is also easy, with the ability to copy, paste, and drag and drop each exercise to reorder the flow. As with navigation routes, syncing a workout to the watch is straightforward. The Vertix can hold up to 20 workouts at any given time, which are then selected from the training mode in the activity selection menu. Once started, the watch will display the first exercise and the number of reps to complete. These are auto-detected, so you don't need to count them yourself. However, if the watch does miscount, you can manually move on to the next exercise at any time. The whole process, from creating a workout through to guiding and then recording it, has been really well thought out. The ability to schedule workouts in a training plan has certainly encouraged me to incorporate more strength work into my routine, and the muscle heat map is a fun way of tracking this additional training. Companies like Polar and Garmin have had the ability to structure workouts in a similar way for some time. So when the Vertix received this feature update last year, it showed that Coros was committed to providing additional functionality to its users. In fact, that's one of the major takeaways from my time with the Vertix over the last year. Coros cares about its existing user base, and if something can be improved or added in a software update, then it will be. So you don't have to fork out for new hardware unnecessarily. If you're looking to buy an adventure GPS watch around this price point, then odds are that you've also considered the Garmin Fenix 6. The Coros Vertix is the clear winner when compared against the base version. It's about the same price and has a battery life that can't be matched. However, if you want topographic maps, music, and more smart features, then you might be tempted to spend a little bit extra for the Garmin Fenix 6 Pro. Personally, I would still opt for the Vertix. Firstly, it comes with sapphire glass as standard, which is an expensive extra in the Garmin series. And while topographic maps would be useful, I don't miss the other smart features. I have a smartphone for that. What I really like about the Vertix though, is that it focuses on the key functionality that I want in an adventure sports watch, and it does this really well. It's also built like a tank, so I know that it can handle anything I throw at it, be it salty seawater or sub-zero conditions at altitude. If you're still on the fence, check out the Coros Apex Pro. It's about £90 or $100 cheaper than the Vertix, but it has the same features, albeit in a slightly less robust package. Either way, you'll have a well-built multisport watch that will still be receiving new feature updates down the line.